Hey, welcome to Action Research Lesson 5. So today we're going to talk about how to search effectively for scholarly articles. The contents of the lesson, we're going to start by defining literature search, what are scholarly articles and their features, things to consider before doing a literature search process flowchart, literature search methods, examples of websites or online platforms you can use to search for scholarly articles. So before we describe what is literature search, we would like to know what is searching. Searching in general, what is it? So from this dictionary which I used, the Merriam-Webster dictionary, they said to search is to look into or over carefully or thoroughly in an effort to find or discover something. In other words, that's to examine in seeking something. Look through or explore, inspecting possible places of concealment and investigating suspicious circumstances. To read thoroughly, to examine for articles concealed on the person. To look at as if to discover or penetrate intention or nature. To uncover, find or come to know by inquiry or scrutiny. So I believe now you know what is searching. So now when we combine search plus literature, what is literature search? So literature search involves searching and compiling all the literature. So literature means books, journals, and other written articles available for a specific topic. So it helps to identify the knowledge gaps in a particular topic, which will then guide further research in that topic. So it helps to provide a background in a study, support methodology, provide context and comparisons for discussion and more. So one of the most important reasons to do a literature search is to have enough information to formulate a valid research question. So a literature search is typically carried out by scientific researchers, academics, personnel of large business organization, and so forth. Even by students who want to write a thesis or a research project. So literature review examines and evaluates the scholarly literature on a topic, and it's conducted usually in the beginning stages of your research. It can be written also as a standalone document or also as a part of a larger piece of work. So you can choose to have its own document of your literature review on its own, and then a document for study design on its own. Or you can just combine together the literature review and the study methodology or study design. It all depends on what your supervisor wants. So what are scholarly articles? Because we said you're going to do literature search, that means you're going to search for scholarly articles, but we need to understand what are scholarly articles. So scholarly articles are written by researchers or experts in a field in order to share the results of their original research or analysis with other researchers or students. So these articles often go through a process known as peer review, where the article is reviewed by a group of research experts in that field. So scholarly articles contribute to the knowledge in a particular field by sharing new research findings, theories, analysis, insights, news, or summaries of current knowledge. So they can also come in many different formats, such as books. They can be books, articles, or websites. So remember, there's sometimes a difference between scholarly article and peer-reviewed articles. So peer-reviewed articles sources are scholarly, but not all sources are peer-reviewed. So let's be very careful. So when you search for an article on the internet, make sure that article is written peer-reviewed. That's how you'll know that this article is scholarly. But if it's not peer-reviewed, then that article is not scholarly. It's just a general article. So it might not be safe to use it to write a debate in your literature review. So, in other words, a definition of scholarly article or scholarly source is this. A scholarly source is a source that is considered academic or peer-reviewed. So the key word here is peer-reviewed. These sources include journal articles, books, conference papers, and dissertations that have been written by experts in a particular field and have been reviewed and evaluated by other experts in the field before being published. So scholarly sources are considered to be reliable, credible sources of information and are often used in academic research or action research and other writings. So the key features of a scholarly article, if you want to know that you are holding a scholarly article or you have downloaded a scholarly article, look at this. Number one, they are written by experts. So you look for authors' credentials or affiliations. That, in other words, means the author's names. The author's names and the author's places where they are, where they wrote that research. So it can be hospitals, it can be education institutions like universities, then also their names. They have their names and maybe qualification, academic qualification. For example, a name can be John Taylor. Then after John Taylor, they come, maybe they've mastered, they write MD. If they have PhD, there will be PhD, doctoral degree. And then affiliation, they will write maybe University of Nairobi, or they write a Kenyatta University. So you will know that this person can be easily found. Their credentials are open. They are openly seen. But for non-scholarly articles, sometimes you will find that they hide the author credentials, their author's names, and even the author's qualifications are hidden. And then they also even hide their affiliation. The institution where that paper was wrote, sometimes it's not clear. So when you realize that you can't see the author's credentials and affiliation, then you have to be very careful. The number two, they are written for other experts or people in academia. So think of each scholarly work as a voice in an ongoing conversation to which you add your voice when you write your own paper. Then they use scholarly language with technical or discipline-specific vocabulary. This means if a paper is for sciences, you'll find that the paper they are talking with the language with which they understand in the sciences. Then if it's for education papers, they will talk in the language which they understand for education. If it's for clinical papers, they will write in the technical language of clinical field which they understand. So papers are usually like that, scholarly papers. And then they provide verifiable and reliable evidence for claims. So even if the resource or article is a general history or overview, it will contain well-researched information that the reader can verify. 5, they may be peer-reviewed. So here I want to come out clear, like usually scholarly articles are peer-reviewed now. So the may can go away. So they are peer-reviewed. So many journals go through an editorial process where other experts review and assess the information article before it's published. Then authors of the article are scholars also, researchers or experts within that field. Then the paper typically is quite long. So it usually has like 8 pages or more. But mostly most scholarly articles will start from 5 pages to 8 pages. It depends whether it's an original article, a review paper, a letter to an editor, or a case study. It depends. So the general appearance. So when you look at a scholarly article, what do you expect to see? So when you download or when you get a scholarly article in the library, that article should start with a title. So there is usually a title with a specific focus on contributing new original research in a narrow area of the subject. So it's a long title. You usually say an article it is a long title. Then abstract. Abstract is a short summary of the article. Keywords, you're going to see keywords which are the central concepts that describe the contents of that article. Usually keywords are around five of them. Then introduction, there will be background information of the problem, the previous researches that were done on that problem, the study's aim, and the research questions. Methodology, now you see a review of the research methodology, the selection of their materials, how they collected data, how they analyzed the data. Results is a presentation of their results. There will be tables, graphs, figures, and so forth, even pie charts. Then discussion, now that will be interpretation and the conclusion of the results. And then they also write recommendations or other things which they suggest for that study. So usually, in short, you're gonna say a title, an abstract, keywords, introduction, methodology, results, discussion. Then after discussion, you're going to see a list of references, or others will call it bibliography. So it's a list of all the documents that were cited by that author. Then you're gonna see the author credentials, that's their names, their qualification, either PhD, master, and then their affiliation, university professor, or maybe hospital worker, so forth. Then technical and formal language with complex ideas and arguments. This is depending with the field. If it's science, there will be scientific language, education, educational language, or clinical language, and so forth. Then length, at least 5 to 8 pages of text with many citations and references inside. Plain appearance, the very minimal use of color, graphics, or images. And then there will be a date where it was received in the journal and an accepted date where it was published, which indicates their peer review process prior to publication. So why is it important to use scholarly articles? So I think we're going to meet, then I'll show you a picture of a scholarly article, then we'll discuss it. I'm going to show you as an example when we meet. It's not in the slides right now. So why is it important to use scholarly articles? It is important because it offers credibility, authority, and impartiality. So credibility, we mean if you're a student writing a research paper, scholarly sources help to establish credibility so people can believe what you are saying. Then authority, a scholarly source can lend more authority than a news report or a book. So while a journalist or author might interview experts, a scholarly source is an expert also. Then impartiality, a scholarly source offers findings that have been authenticated and should be free of confirmation bias. So that's why it's important for you to use scholarly articles when you are writing your research paper, so that people can truly see that you have used the evidence which is there. But you are not thinking in your brain that something exists, but at least you have evidence to show that, oh no, this paper, and that paper confirmed the existence of this problem. So it's not coming from your brain like, I just think this problem exists. So you need something which shows that you are credible. What you are saying is credible. So that's why they are saying use a scholarly article. So types of scholarly articles, like I had mentioned earlier, we have literature reviews or review papers. We have original research articles or empirical articles. We have case studies. We have meta-analysis. Those are types of review papers. We have commentaries. We have theoretical or conceptual or professional communications. We have book reviews. We have letters to the editor of the journal. Then you can find, we have articles, books, like I said, articles from journal, magazine, newspaper, monograph books, e-books, reference work, encyclopedia. And then we also have some type of literature called grey literature. So the grey literature is a name for other research material which are not peer-reviewed. So other literature which are not peer-reviewed can consist of things like these conference papers, the papers that are published after a conference, maybe the presentations, the posters. Those are grey literature, but they are not scholarly. They are not scholarly articles or scholarly resources, but they are grey literature. They can be used, but with caution. White papers, those are documents that often contain legislation, outlines future trends, call for action on a topic. So these are just grey literature. Dissertation for someone or a thesis for someone, like a student research paper for a student doing masters or a PhD. Those are grey literature. You can't say they are scholarly articles because they are not peer reviewed and they are not published anyway. So they have some doubt. You have to leave a doubt on their credibility. Patent, they have rights to an invention granted by an official government agency. documents published in scholarly channels such as government documents and so forth, like gazettes. Those are grey literature, but they are not peer reviewed. So you have to be very careful with grey literature when you want to write your research papers. All right. Then we go to the issue of online and offline. So first we have to understand what is online. So online means you are connected to or saved by or available through a system or especially a computer or a telecommunication system such as internet. So it means you are connected to something like an internet. That means you are online. Then if you are not on internet, you are offline. That means systems are not connected to the internet, right? So on scholarly articles, you have to remember we have online and offline documents. So online, those are the ones maybe you can find on internet when you are connected to internet. For example, journal articles, magazines, newspapers, ebooks, encyclopedias, websites, theses and dissertations. Then offline, when you are not connected to the internet, you can still find scholarly articles, especially in the library. So they can be textbooks, library books, printed or photocopied articles, offline reading websites, academic magazines. Yeah. Okay. So let's say now you have downloaded the article, the scholarly article, or you found it. You found it maybe in the library. What's next? So what's next is you do this. You read the abstract. Remember the structure or the appearance of a scholarly article, which we mentioned in the earlier slide. So when you look at that paper now, look for the abstract. So an abstract is a summary of the article and will give you an idea of what the article is talking about and how well it will be written. If there are lots of complicated subject-specific words in the abstract, the article will be just hard to read. So most of the abstracts are simple. So when you want to get an idea of what the paper is talking about, just read the abstract instead of the whole paper. So after reading the abstract, if it interests you, then now you read the conclusion. You go to the conclusion, they will have a subtopic written conclusion. So this, they will repeat their ideas and their findings. Then if you are interested, now you move to step 3. You read now the first paragraph or the introduction. After reading the introduction, if you still feel like you are still interested, you move again to every first sentence of every paragraph. Then step 4, let's say you have gotten interested with the whole paper now, you move to the rest of the article. Now you read all the way from abstract to introduction, topic sentences, the graphs, the tables, and then you reach your end. There you can talk about the paper now, you can understand the paper. So always remember this. When you read a scholarly article, start with the abstract, move to the conclusion. Then when it interests you, you can go forward now to read the rest of the paper. But if it doesn't interest you, then you move to the other paper. Things to do or things to consider before doing a literature search. So before doing a literature search, you must have a list of research questions which you have created and a list of research objectives which you have written. So make a list of relevant databases also which you are going to do your literature search. For example, there's Google Scholar, there is Medline, there's PubMed. There are so many databases which you can want to explore to find your scholarly articles. Then you write down the maybe keywords or phrases which you want to use. So if you are doing a research maybe on let's say time management of students, then your keywords are time management, then another keyword is student. Then if you are doing, let's say what, lack of cooperation amongst students in a class, your keyword now is lack, another keyword is cooperation, another keyword is student. So you list down the names of the keywords which you want to use when you are searching, or phrases. Start searching now after doing that, and then make notes from each database to keep track of your search. Review the literature and compile all the results into a report. keep revising your original research questions. So always remember to stick to your research questions or your research objectives. So this one is an image showing you a literature search process flow. So first, identify a topic of interest, spend time identifying keywords, like I said. After that, use the keywords to conduct your search. It can be online or manual. Then after doing that, review all the references which you have sourced and retrieve a copy of the relevant references. After that, read all the relevant material sourced and identify new references through citations. Organize all the material in preparation for analysis and integration in your review. So that's the step-by-step of literature search. So now let's move to the literature search methods. How do you search for literature? So we have about 11 types or 11 methods of searching for literature. So one is identifying keywords, two, creating mnemonics or research frameworks, Boolean logic, phrase searching, field searching, proximity operator, truncators, wildcards, limiting searches, selecting right database, citation searching, digital object identifier. So you see there are many. So we're going to go and explain one by one so that you understand. So for identifying keywords or synonyms, this is just simple. Take it easy here. So in any large research project or even a small research project, there will be a significant number of concepts or terms that will relate to your topic. So first is you jot them down or you write them down and don't stop there. So brainstorm, you can even use your brain to brainstorm to identify words or synonyms or related terms to your research idea. You may also want to consider how terms are used in different countries or in different spellings, including plural and singular forms. So this table now is showing you how you can identify key terms relevant to your literature search. So this example relates to a research on the influence of women's self-perceptions on career advancement. So that is the research topic of this person. And then the examples of their search terms or keywords were these ones in the table. See, the topic was influence of women's self-perceptions on career advancement. So you can see example of the keywords are females here. Women can be females, right? Then self-perception can also be said self-esteem, self-confidence, self-understanding. Career can be profession, vocation, work, employment, occupation. It depends on how you perceive or how you find from the brainstorming. Advancement can be progress, promotion, success. So when you are searching now when this person is searching for their literature on internet or in the library, they can combine these terms now together. Like can say women and management. Then if the papers which come out are not the ones she like or he like, he can remove. And then he type women and business. If the papers come out not the ones which she's looking for, she can type women in organization. Gender stereotypes, glass ceiling, and so forth. Then another way can write corporations, business, and companies or organization, women. Women, company, companies, profession, professions. So those are the words you keep playing with them until your papers come out, the papers which you want. If that one fails to bring the papers which you want, then you move to the search strategy number 2, mnemonics or research framework. So mnemonics or search framework can help you to focus on your research question or research objectives. They are useful in helping you identify the concepts or terms which you are looking for. And then they help you bring out the papers which you want to read. So you can use two types. There's Eclipse and Pico. So Eclipse, E means expectation. So what are you expecting from your study? So maybe your problem was time management in students of North Coast, yeah? So your expectation is like your expectation is like you're expecting students to manage time effectively. So that is the phrase which you can use now to search for your articles. Student time management, or student effective time management. Then if you don't want to use expectation, you can use client group C. So client group, here now it means if we look at the example of time management on students, the client group is students. So then you have to search, your papers should always have the word student everywhere. Student, that's the client group. Then if you are not dealing with students, you are dealing with teachers. Then you have to write teachers or trainers or lecturers or other, you find different synonyms for that word. If it doesn't work for you, then you put location. Location, you can say Kenya. If Kenya doesn't bring the papers, you can say what? Kilifi. If Kilifi doesn't bring the papers, you say Kilifi South. If it still doesn't bring the paper, you say, okay, Bomani. Still doesn't bring, you keep on searching until you find. Then impact. Impact is almost like expectation, what you expect from your study. Professionals, that means maybe you're dealing with teachers, you're dealing with maybe doctors, you're dealing with community health volunteers, so forth. You can use their name to find your papers. Service, maybe service, maybe IT service, you can write IT service in learning, or you can write computer service, or you can write what, you can write group work, you can write the types of services which you are looking for, which depend on your field, right, to search for papers. Then if this Eclipse doesn't work for you, you can use this method, PICO. So PICO, again, it comes population or problem. So you can type that problem. If it's time management, you type time management in students PDF. So it will bring out all the papers which talk about time management in students. That's the problem. You are just typed your problem. If you feel like the problem is not coming out well, you type the population which you are targeting. That is the students or maybe the staff somewhere. Intervention. If you have an intervention which you are looking at, you can also type that intervention. For example, flipped classroom is an intervention. So you can type flipped classroom PDF. Then all the papers of flipped classroom will come out on the internet. And then you can download them. If the intervention doesn't work, you use comparison. Maybe there are studies of comparison which you want to look at. Compare IT versus students who don't use IT. You type that. Students who use IT and students who don't use IT in their education PDF. All the papers will come out with those comparisons. Then and so forth. Then outcome, that is the same as expectation. You write what you are expecting from your study. Oral, you can add S to PICO, so it becomes PICOS. So S, that means study design. So you can also type your study design, like maybe qualitative study for time management of students. So all the qualitative studies will come out. Or if you are not looking at qualitative study, you type quantitative study for time management of students. So all the quantitative studies of time management for students will come out. If you are not interested in study design, then you can look at context. So context, that means the environment or the location. So you can type for Kenya if you need Kenyan papers, for Tanzania if you need Tanzanian papers, American if you need American papers. It depends on what you are looking for. Then T, time. That means you can maybe look at like this works maybe for Western countries where they say they have summer, if you're a teacher, they have summer intakes, winter intakes. So maybe you are just interested of the papers of summer intakes only. So here now, you can also, like in Kenya, here we can apply time, maybe January intake. You want to understand why the students of January intake are performing poorly than students of September intake. So this is another way you can look at time. Or you can say the use, maybe the use of time management, what in 6 months. You are finding papers which wrote how they intervened the time management in 6 months only. not 1 year, not 2 years. So you can interpret it in the way which you want. Then if it doesn't work for you, you go to step 3. Step 3 now is planning how terms will be combined and entered. So identifying key terms to search is just the first step, but the second step is knowing how to type those key terms and phrases on the internet. So you can use Boolean logic, phrase searching, proximity operators, truncators, wildcards, and limiting searches. So I'll show you how. So if you like, we can have, when we meet, we can actually have a practical where you carry your computers, all of you carry your computers, then we practice this thing with you having your computer. So now it's just a lesson where you hear only the theory. Then when we meet on Monday, we can do the practical. But please, you carry your computer. If you don't have a computer, then at least have a smartphone where you can access internet. So for the Boolean operators, operators determine how your search terms are combined in the search. So Boolean logic is useful when your search involves more than one search and you need to be more specific about how the terms relate to each other. That sometimes are called Boolean operator after a guy called George Boole, a mathematician. So there are 3 main operators: and, or, and not. So it is best to type them using capital letters. So whenever you're using Boolean operator, remember to use them in capital letters, because if you use them in small letters, they will not bring out the papers which you are looking for. So remember to always type them in capital letters. All your other words, the keywords can be in small letters, but the Boolean operator should be in capital letters. Remember that. Okay. So when you search in a database, you might get too many results. For example, you say time management in students. It can bring you so many papers, up to thousands of papers, and you are so tired, you can't look at all those 1,000 papers. So if you add extra search terms and combine them with and, capital letter, you get only the results that contain both or all the terms. So this is a way of making your search more specific or narrower and getting few results, because you want to get the papers, the exact papers which you want to use. So for example, maybe there's a guy, this guy who did a study of Australia politics and history, right? So when they're searching on Google, or when they're searching on Google Scholar, they'll usually type Australia and politics and history. So you see in this image, the way she wrote or he wrote here, this is how you type now on Google, and then all the papers that talk about politics, history, and Australia will come out. So that's another way you can use to search. So for your, like, for example, like as teachers, you have maybe a problem of time management in students. You can now type now time and management and students. So when you type that, you will be seeing your papers coming. And then if you feel like it's not bringing what you want, you can use ORO. So let's go on the example of ORO. So you can type politics or government. So all the papers that talk of politics, government will come out. Then in your context now as teachers, you have said time management in students. You can type it, time management or students, or time or students, or time or management. You see, when you type that, they will come. If you feel like they've not come again, then you can use note. So you can say, I need papers which are talking of politics or government and history or past and Australia. You see, and then you say not New Zealand or not Africa. So all the papers now will come out with politics, with the government, with the history, with the past, with Australia, but not New Zealand or not Africa. Right? So you can practice this. This needs practicing. We can't talk about it, but we have to practice it. That's why I was saying when we meet, you bring your computer, then we do together, right? Okay. Now let's move forward. So this is a summary of the Boolean operator, or and a not. You read them, summary. Then phrase searching. Now phrase searching is another method which enables you to establish a connection between your search terms, allowing you to be more specific about how and where the terms might most productively combine. So this is particularly important when you are searching for full text articles. Phrase searching involves searching for words that are in a set order or adjacent to one another, placing the phrase in inverted commas. Okay. Okay, let's see an example of phrase searching. Okay. Um, so for phrase searching, it's almost like identifying keywords. Huh? Identifying keywords, you're gonna make your keywords and then you combine them. So when you combine them, you use now them as a phrase when you type. So for example, glass ceiling is a phrase. So all the papers of glass ceiling will come. So for example, time management is a phrase. So you type time management, all the papers of time management will come. Skills laboratory, if you type skills laboratory, all the papers for skills laboratory will come out. So this is just too simple. Okay, let's move now to proximity operators. So some literature search tools also provide proximity searching capabilities. For instance, they might use terms such as near or adjacent. So near or adj, or same or with, to say that the words must appear in the same sentence. So let me give you an example. But it's best we practice this practically. So here in this lesson, I'll just talk about it, but we're gonna do this practical next Monday when you are free. We do that as a practical. That's how you can understand. Because some things you can't understand through just talking. In research, you have to write. You have to write. There's no way you can understand research through listening only. You have to write also and practice. So some of the search terms you can use are proximity terms. For example, you are doing a study for self-esteem. So when you are searching self-esteem, you can type self, then bracket at G, then esteem at the other end. So in between you put adjust ADJ so that your papers come out. And then you can also do this. You put self, then you put a bracket near in capital letter. Remember, everything is in capital letters. Then you put esteem. So if you are doing time management, you can do the same. Time management, then in between time management, you put ADJ. Those are capital letters. Or if your papers don't come out, then you can use the NEAR, NEAR, in between time management. Skills laboratory, you do the same. Skills ADJ laboratory. If papers don't come out, you put skills, NEAR laboratory, your papers will come out. Right? So this is called proximity operators. They are different from Boolean operators and or not. But now proximity operators, we have ADJ and near. Remember, they are all in capital letters, please. All right, now let's move to truncators or wildcards. So truncators allow you to use a specific symbol. So it's a star. Normally it's a star or asterisk. So in place of a particular letter or letters to broaden or restrict your search results. For example, fish. Maybe you are doing a research about fish. I'm just giving an example, so don't take it personal. So for example, fish, you are doing a research of fish. So you want all the papers of fish to come out. So you write fish in small letters, right? And then you put a star at the end or asterisk. So this will help you to retrieve all the papers that have written about fish, a fisher, a fisherman, a fisherwoman, a fishers, fishing. Everything that talks about fish will come out. Eh? So if you think now, for your study, maybe if it's you're looking at skills laboratory, you put a star at the end. So all things about skill laboratories will come. Skills, skill money, laboratory, laboratories, skill woman, everything that consists of skills and skill laboratory will come out. So that is truncators. And then for the case of wildcards now, the wildcard will replace that asterisk now replaces a single letter. So it's often useful for words with different spelling variations. For example, organization. Maybe you're doing a research in an organization and then you want all the papers that come with the word organization to get out. But then maybe you are looking for papers with a specific spelling. So you see organization has two ways. Some people write it with Z, some people write it with S. So maybe you are not caring. Sometimes maybe you are not caring about the spelling, but you want all the papers with organization to come out. So what you do, you type that word organization, but at the area where Z and S appear, you now put a star. You put a star or asterisk. Okay, wait shortly. Okay. Sorry, I was just checking something. So I hope you understand using truncators or wildcards, right? So this is a slide now showing you an example of the truncator. So remember I said you use a star. It's a star or asterisk. So this one now, it makes your search broader and you get more results. For example, you are doing a study in politics or a politic. You can write politic and then you put a star at the end. So you get all papers that talk about politics, political, politician, politicians, and so forth. If you are doing history, papers for history, you type histo the way it is there, histo, and then you put a star. That means all the papers for history, historical, historian, they will come out. Okay. If that doesn't fit you, we move to field search. So for field search now, when you are using literature database, for example, Google Scholar, you can specify in which field you wish to search for a particular term. For example, you might choose to specifically search by the author. Maybe there's an author which interested you, maybe from some videos which you watched and you remember his name. So you can use the author's name when you are searching. Like, oh, let me find papers by Johnson. Johnson wrote about time management in students. I like the papers. Let me search for him to find more papers. So you can use the author's name. But if you don't know the author's name, you can use the title for your research, like time management in students. You just type the way it is. Or subject, maybe general conceptual area covered. For example, time management in students, or you can just say student welfare. It's time management is inside student welfare, so you can even just type student welfare and then all the papers will come out. Even those with time management can come out. Or you can do the keywords like what we had said before. So your search results can be significantly affected by the field you nominate to search. So make sure when you're in a database, focus on your field. If it's education, focus on databases for education. If you're in clinic, focus on databases for clinical research. If you're in engineering, focus on databases for engineering. So you might be researching things for engineering. Make sure you look for databases that are specific to that. Otherwise, you will not find the papers which you need. Okay, so now we move to the other search method, which is limiting searches. So you can put a limiter, something called a limiter. You can put a limiter. It's another way to narrow your search. And most databases offer a range of limiters that you can use as part of your search or after you have your results. So many databases allow you to limit your search. For example, you can limit your search maybe on the types of materials or the types of articles. Remember, I told you from the beginning that we have different types of articles. We have original articles, we have review articles, we have letters to the editor, we have case study. So it depends on what you want. So if you want your papers to come out all case studies, then you have to make sure you write a time management for students in case studies. So all the case studies about time management for students will come out. If you don't want case studies, you can type time management for students original articles. So that means all the original articles for time management of students will come out. So be specific on the material, the type of scholarly article which you are looking for, right? Then if you are not interested in the material, maybe you're interested in the language of the publication. So when you type maybe time management for students, you have to say English papers only, because that's the language which you understand. But then if you don't put a limiter like language English, they will come even French papers, they will come even German papers, Dutch papers. So maybe you will not be able to translate some of them in time to read all of them. Like it might be difficult. So you have to put limiters so that now your papers are coming in the way which you can understand them. So you can say time management for students, then you put English PDF, then they will come out. They come all the papers in English. Then publication types, you can also try to say papers in maybe a website called Medline only. You want papers from Medline, or you want randomized control trials if you're a clinic person. So just be specific, know what you want. Then date, you can also limit putting dates. Like I want papers of time management for students from 2017 up to 2022. Or you can say from 2010 up to 2020. So you know, you are the one who knows what you want. So you are the one to set your date limit when you set your papers also, right? You can also put a limit of age group. Maybe you're not looking, students can come from all the way of 2 years up to 35 years or 50 years. So maybe you want a certain age group for the students, maybe teenagers like 17-year-olds up to 21-year-olds. So when you type, you can type time management for students aged 17 up to 21. You have to limit yourself on the age, if it's the age you are looking for. Then if you are looking for students maybe who are 25 and above, you have to also mention that. Or if you can't mention through the age numbers, you can just say adult students, adolescent students, elderly people, and so forth. If you are looking for all ages, you just be clear saying all ages. So all the papers for students of all ages will just come out. And then you can also limit country. Maybe you're looking for papers within Kenya only. So you have to say time management for students in Kenya. Then all the papers in Kenya will come out for time management for students. Then maybe if you're not interested for the ones in Kenya, maybe you're looking at global, you have to say global. If you're looking for UK, you just say UK. If you're looking for Tanzania, you say Tanzania. Then all the papers will come out from Tanzania. So these are just examples of how you can limit your searches so that you get what you want. So you can either limit by the type of scholarly articles you are looking for, language, publication types, date, age group, country of origin. This is best practice rather than said. So this is a slide just showing what we've just described. Now we move to the selecting the right database and examples of database you can select. So when you are searching for papers, you just don't open Google Scholar and then you just say time management for students, then whatever paper which appears you quickly download it, then you save. Also check which database that paper has come from. Usually a paper will have a link address. There will be a link address, an online link address, which shows you where the paper came from. So that also helps you to know whether it's also a scholarly article. So search the databases that reflect your subject area. If you are a clinical person, you look for databases which are clinical. If you are an education person, you look for databases which are educational. If you are engineering person, you look for databases which are engineering. So now there's a list of databases here which are kind of for education like this. ASIA is for education, CINAHL is for mixture of papers, education, clinical, Cochrane, EMBAS, HMIC, Medline for clinicals. And then this is a link which I put for you, which you can either click on the PPT, the original PPT, or what you do, you can type this link and then it will show you a list of all the names of the research database which you can use for searching your articles. Then if you don't want that, there's another method called citation searching. So citation searching is a way of finding relevant research in a field or a subject by looking at what an article is referenced and who has since used that article as a reference. So citation searching is useful when you want to analyze literature in a way that the keyword or subject searching does not allow. So such as when you are exploring a new area of a study, or either studying the current state of research in that area, or are still learning the language of the topic. First, you identify a key article, the author, or the book which you are studying. Or has been referenced in an article you are looking at. So by using that resources title or author's name, you can conduct a citation search in a database. You are then provided with a list of other articles that have included that article, the author or a book. Okay, so in summary, let's say this. Citation searching, that means when you are doing literature search, you found some couple of papers you were interested in, and then you find that one of the paper is really talking what you like. Then now, when you look at the paper now, you discover the name of the author, maybe it's called Tom. So now you are interested in all the papers which Tom wrote. So you start now digging for more. What has Tom written in the past? You want to find what has Tom written in the past. If he doesn't have a paper in the past, what has he written up to now? You see? So let me give you an example here. So citation mining is what I was saying. Like, you have a list of papers which came out, which are all about your field. Then one of that paper now maybe strike you or interests you more. And then you look at that paper, you find the name of the author. So the name of the author now, you would want to know what has he written before or what has he written up to now. So that is what is called citation mining. So you want to mine that author. You are mining his information. You are mining what has he written before up to now. So there are two types now of citation mining. There is a forward citation mining and backward citation mining. So forward citation mining, that means for that author, let's say Tom, the author is called Tom. You want to know what has he written now since, let's say you found the paper he wrote from 2017. So you want to know, like, from 2017 up to now, did he write another paper again? Maybe interested you a lot and you want to read more about him. So you ask yourself, from 2017 up to 2023, what has he written again? So that is called forward citation. You're looking forward from the date of the paper which you saw. You want to know what has he written now from that time up to now. Then backward citation now, maybe you are interested to know in history, the history of that poem, like, okay, before now, what had he written before the date of that paper which you are reading, the 2017 paper. You want to see, before 2017, did he had other papers which he was talking about time management or students or something like that? So that is another way. You look backward from the date of the paper which you are reading. Okay, so this is an example of forward citation. The original article which you downloaded, which struck you, which interested you, was by this guy, 2005. And then you ask yourself, let me see what he has written. From 2005 up to now, what has he written? You find 2006 he had another paper. 2009 he had another paper. 2011 he had another paper. 2012 he had another paper. Up to 2023. Then you read the papers and then they will give you information on what you want. That is forward citation. Then this one is backward citation. You have read a paper by Thao 2005 and it struck you so much, you liked it. Then you want to know, before 2005, what did he wrote? So you are going backward. 1986 he had his first article, 1995 second, 2001 third, 2002 fourth. So you can read how he came up to that paper now. So that's backward citation. Okay, I don't want to waste much of your time. This is an image just showing backward citation as we had described, forward citation as we had described. So you must have a starting article. That's the main key here. Starting article, the article which strikes you most with information which you need and also target the year. For example, 2017 year. If you're interested, you look for that author, what had he written before 2001, 2010, 2015. If you want to see forward up to 2023, you see what has he written, forward citation, 2018, there's another paper by him or her. 2021, there's another paper by him or her again, you see. So the benefits of citation searching, you gather relevant literature very quick, identify good and appropriate keywords for future search, use knowledge and research for original author through citation to save time, map out scholarly conversation in a particular area, limits your search to the things which you want. Then some disadvantage also. Disadvantage of this citation searching. It can skew heavily towards scholarly articles and may not capture the full conversation of what you want. Citation practice vary by discipline also. And then if you want cross-disciplinary information, then that could be tricky. You see? Okay. So some of the database, like I said, they are Web of Science, Google Scholar, Academic Search Complete, Science Direct, Scopus. Google Scholar. So this, I think this is best understood when we arrange for a lesson where you come with your computer and then we do this thing together. Yeah, it's best understood when you are doing the practical. But when you are just listening, you think like, oh, I'm not understanding something. Yeah. So that's why I said, yeah, I'm just talking, but we're gonna organize a day where you are coming and then we do the practical with your computer. If you don't have a computer, please, you come with a smartphone, right, which connects to internet. Then the last but not least is the digital object identifier, DOI. People call it DOI. It's a string of numbers, letters, or symbols used to uniquely identify an article or a document and to provide it with a permanent web address or a URL. So a DOI will help your reader easily locate a document for your citation. In most scholarly journal articles, the DOI will be printed with the article itself, usually on the first page, below the title or in the header or footer section of the paper. So if the DOI isn't included in the article, you can look for it on a website called crossref.org to check for the assigned DOI of an article. And then sometimes, maybe you've seen the paper is on a website and then it's locked. Maybe you are searching for a paper and then you find the paper is there, but you can't download it as a PDF. It's locked, like restricted, yeah? Because maybe you didn't pay subscriptions to that journal to access those papers. So maybe they give you now the DOI. They'll give you the title of the paper and the summary only, but the PDF of the paper they will not give you. So maybe you want to see the PDF to read more about that paper. So in that summary which they'll give you a DOI number. So you copy that DOI number and then you paste it on something called Sci-Hub. So when you paste it on Sci-Hub, that DOI now will quickly go and search for the PDF and then find the PDF for you, free and downloadable. So it's a way of accessing some papers which are kind of restricted, maybe by some websites for some reasons. So you can unlock that using Sci-Hub, eh? Okay. So that one we're going to demonstrate by doing it. These things you will not understand just by listening. Okay. And then examples of websites or online platforms you can use to search for scholarly articles. I can't read them, all of them, like here, but you're just gonna look for them. Like here, Google Scholar is good for educational field. You can find Google Scholar, Microsoft Academic, Wolfram Alpha, RefSeek, Educational Resource Information Center, ERIC. You can use that. Virtual Learning Resource Center, iSeek, ResearchGate also is good. Base Field Academic Search Engine. PubMed is also good. Infotopia. You can even try all of them. You'll find your papers depending on your problem or research problem. Yeah? Okay, so these are the references which you can also check for whatever which I said in this lesson. You can also go and read on your own using these references. These are the references which I used to make for this lesson. And then also we organize for a lesson, then we can practice together using our laptops. We practice all the literature search methods together so that you understand them more. So thanks for listening and thanks for being attentive, if you were really attentive to this lecture. So thank you so much. We meet next time for lesson number 6.